All right, WWE Extreme Rules 2015. This is Smarkamania episode, I think 18. I'm not sure.
It's a number.
I heard Joel wears his sunglasses at night.
I do, so I can.
Joel's got his. Can you scoot in?
Oh, yeah.
Scoot in, baby.
I love the plaid on plaid.
Thanks, Doug.
Mike's wearing a lot of plaid. So basically, because Jason, my co-host for this podcast, he went home to Halifax for his birthday. So we split the show in half, where we have this half, which you're not going to believe this, but this is the cool half.
What?
What?
Oh my God. Joel's here though.
Yeah.
I know, true.
Purely just because we have people that wear sunglasses at night here,
Oh, yeah.
where I assume Jason is probably watching this pay-per-view by himself because his fiance/wife does not care for wrestling.
That's a good fiance though.
Yeah, it'd be weirder, right, if she was into it. But that's the thing. It's like Jack Spratt because she loves Fast and the Furious movies. So me and Mike and Craig and her, we all went to Fast and Furious, had a great time. Fast and Furious 7, believe me or not, it was a good movie. It was real good.
I believe it's just Furious 7.
Furious 7, sure.
Fast and.
Mike would know. He saw it twice. Is that the
Twice. It's Furious 7.
I believe it was Fast 7. That's what I believe.
But the thing is, Jason was like, I will not under any circumstances go to that movie. So she takes the Vin Diesel movies, he takes the wrestling. Together it works.
That is absurd, though. How would, as a wrestling fan, how do you not want to see that movie?
It's the same wheelhouse. Like
It's just an action movie, and also The Rock is in it, and also The Rock.
He rock bottomed a guy.
He rock bottoms Jason Statham, and also
Maybe to death.
and also Vin Diesel German suplexes Jason Statham into a car.
I was thinking if we could do a quick sidebar on Fast and the Furious, also because it'll make Jason mad, which I like. By the end of that movie, when Vin Diesel's on top of the parking garage and he says, sometimes when you fight the streets fight back.
The funny thing about a street fight, the street always wins, or something like that.
And there was already a crack.
kills a man.
Well, there was already a crack in the cement, so he hits it with his heel, and it makes the whole cement break. But I was thinking, at that point, where he has the gun and he's shooting at it's a superhero movie, right? Fast and Furious is a superhero franchise.
Didn't they drop a bunch of cars out of a plane at one point in that movie?
Yeah, that was Too Fast, Too Furious 7.
Okay.
Yeah.
How much drifting was there? Specifically Tokyo style drifting.
Yeah, I was curious about the level of drifting.
This actually did. I know you guys are fucking with me right now. This movie did tie in to Tokyo Drift because there's a character named Han in Tokyo Drift because this is when Justin Lin took over as director and Han died in Tokyo Drift. His car got smashed. But so then Furious movies go on and on and on. But at the end of Fast 6, Han's car gets smashed and broken, and you're like, holy fuck, this is where...
And then the samurai ghost of Han shows up.
The thing is any lesser director would have let Tokyo Drift go. But Justin Lin held on, so Tokyo Drift actually happens in the chronology between 6 and 7.
Even though it was part 3.
Part 3, yeah. Unbelievable franchise. Jason would have had a blast, but he refused to go.
So you mean, as far as skin aging goes, chronology is important.
You're right.
Yeah.
Are you talking about chronological aging?
Yeah.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, chronological aging, which you might not understand, is a time-based aging process.
As opposed to temporal anomaly aging, which we all know affects skin.
However, there's hope because certain creams. What was the name of the cream we said?
I think it was called Dermostat 7.
Now at this point...
Fast and Dermostat 7, yeah.
Now, at this point, people are referencing a commercial we saw during Extreme Rules, so let's move on.
I want to say one more thing. So Justin Lin was so fucking important for him to explain how this Japanese dude died and the movies are prequels so that he could make... But also, Michelle Rodriguez just came back from the dead, and they really didn't explain that at all.
She did have amnesia, though.
It's
It's like how when Jason came back to life in Friday the 13th Part 6, I don't think he remembered his
I think we
previous
just
murders.
talked about chronological aging. Okay, so here was my question at the beginning of the Extreme Rules. I didn't know whether, because this is my first time really watching WWE. Is that correct? Is that
It is, because the World Wildlife Fund, they're real
Right.
little bitches.
Okay. So since this is my first time in like 20 years watching WWE, I didn't know whether the rules were, it was Extreme Rules as in there were too many rules?
They weren't really very
They
extreme.
were not extreme at all. I was legitimately excited. I was expecting at least one TLC match.
Yeah, or like the one where the ring has flame all around it.
Yeah, like just something. Like I was like, how extreme will these rules be? And I was,
a match that was completely mobile.
yeah, that's true. But then they disappeared. If they had followed them through the streets of Chicago, and like they stopped and got like pizza, deep dish pizza, and all the rest of that, I would have been okay with that.
And they
But-
would have in the old days in the hardcore belt. They would have followed them across the street into a bar. I'm sure that happened. Crash Holly probably like pinned a guy on a stage while a jazz band was playing in New Orleans.
But I kind of feel like that. Like in my head, they were just fighting in the car. They were wrestling in the car the entire time,
Right. And
and they
kind
never
of-
stopped.
Well, kind of the problem with pay-per-views, and I had this problem ever since the 2000s when I watched. I watched like 2000 to 2003 was my time to watch. Is that the pay-per-views are the ones you pay money for, and they're not as good because the best part of wrestling is the storylines and when people shit talk each other and make funny jokes about each other and little things happen. But the pay-per-views are always just here's 3 hours of wrestling. I don't know. It's weird. It's like it's okay, but you really got to lean on the drinking and the talking to your friends to make
Right,
this work. But let's go through these matches real quick. So luckily, I realized at some point doing this podcast, I cannot remember. Like if I had to remember right now, I wouldn't remember anything. So I wrote them down.
Can we just as a fun game? Can we vote whether the rules were extreme or not extreme?
They were not extreme.
No,
They were
but-
not
but
extreme at
per
all.
match.
They're not near. No, even per match. The last match, the Randy Orton, whoever, is a standard cage match, which is still kind of extreme, I guess. But at the end of the day, it's still just a fucking basic cage match.
They
Not
do them
that
on
extreme.
Cage Match Tuesday. This just always happens.
It used to be the standard that is like, oh, we got a cage match going on. Mankind did a cage match every week, literally. Like, no one gives a shit.
Now, I think you're right in general. These rules were not very extreme. But I do think the first match, it was extreme enough. Ambrose versus Harper. So Ambrose is the drifter, Harper's the hillbilly, and they were hitting each other with tons of shit, and then they dived into a car that drove away and didn't come back till later. I feel like that was pretty extreme. I was okay with that.
Extreme-est of the whole night.
That should have been the main event. They should have drove back as the main event.
That's what I really wanted. Like, while the cage was up, those guys in that SUV should have came back and driven down the ramp and slammed into the final match with their SUV. That would have been extreme.
That's one thing, too, though, where wrestling has hit a point where it might not be as exciting as it was in the late 90s, early 2000s, but it's hit like at least a level of acceptability of how cool it'll be. Because when they were backstage fighting and stuff, you know, it wasn't the best, but it was kind of cool. Where if you go back to WCW, we watched this match, it was fucking Terry Funk, who was already 50 years old, against some other guy in WCW. It was the worst. It was the worst thing in the world. So I give that match thumbs up. I thought that was kind of cool. But that match isn't going to end until later. We'll get back to when they drove back in the car.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like this match is. I've been watching wrestling a long time. This is the only match that I can think of that's ever happened where another match happened within the time that this match began and ended. Do you know what I mean? Like it totally encompassed another match.
The closest, I think, is there was a Royal Rumble where Vince McMahon got carted away in an ambulance, but he came back by the end of the Rumble. So that was a little similar. But yeah, other than that, that's all I can think
It's
of.
pretty good. I got to say, like,
Yeah, that one was pretty cool.
it made me laugh, which was awesome.
And how much more extreme can you get than literally no rules at all? Like that's pretty extreme.
My favorite part about that whole thing was like all the watching the conveniently placed objects on their way to the car.
That's weird,
You
too.
know,
I do wish too. I wish they would take it that one little step further, though, where in the interim, when the car was driven away, they should cut back to that ref backstage, like playing solitaire. Like, they'll be back.
Yeah.
or like a police hunt trying to find them or something.
But yeah, it was not enough, right? Like, because back in the day, we used to get a TLC match every time the Dudleys showed up or the Hardys showed up. Like, it was, like, they were not extreme at all. There was just like, that was a Thursday night, period.
So that's the thing, is the sobering reality of 15 years after those glory days is like, they call it your bump card. How many, like, if you take a move in wrestling, it's called a bump. And you only have so many bumps in you until you're in a retirement home. And the Hardys would say that in particular because they were insane of like you have to figure out, like, is this worth it? Is this worth it for how many years this will take off my career to do these things? And everyone realized it's not. So they just don't do it anymore. But yeah, basically year 2000, things never will be that good again.
Yeah. You know what? It's like wrestling is like in the 80s. When we were kids, wrestling was like for kids, and then as we grew up, wrestling grew up with us, and then at a certain point they reset. And then I feel like now we're in that middle period now where we're on our way back to another Attitude Era
maybe
type thing.
Slowly moving on.
I hope not, because it's, I don't know, like the goofy kid part of wrestling is kind of what makes it like awesome.
Yeah, I do honestly like it better. It's weird. I mean, I've found that with everything. Like, I like, I'd rather watch a kid's cartoon that's a little bit subversive than watch Archer. Like, I just don't care about cartoons for grown-ups. Like, what is the point of that? Grow up, asshole. But I like kid shit. And I like that wrestling is dorky again. I don't know. I just like it. It's weird. All right, so now we will insert whatever Jason thought about that podcast or that match.
Hello, my name is Jason Phillips, and of course, this is Smarkamania. I was away for when we recorded, or they recorded the Extreme Rules rundown. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to quickly go match by match and give you my thoughts. I'll apologize in advance as I lost my voice in Halifax from partying too hard. I watched this event with a few folks from Wrestle Club, including Coleman Johnston, Joel Langus, I think that's how it's pronounced, if Langus, and Adrian Broom, and I kind of went over there because our plans got messed up. Jake Thurgood was feeling ill. We were originally supposed to watch it with him and Jacob Hiltz, but those plans fell apart. I was going to just watch it alone, and that didn't happen, obviously, so I went over and we sat down and started watching. So, the first match, the pre-show, we find out that Daniel Bryan is injured and unable to compete. And that sucks because I was really looking forward to Daniel Bryan versus Bad News Barrett. So what ends up happening is we get a reshuffle on the card, which later on in the card we really find is very prominent because there was a bit in the middle that I'll get to that seemed like they were just filling time. But anyway, instead, we have Bad News Barrett facing off against Neville. And it was a pretty much straight up back and forth match. I love Bad News Barrett these days. And also, Neville, of course, is killing it. Neville won the match after managing to pull off a red arrow. So the first match of the night was the Chicago street fight between Dean Ambrose and Luke Harper. So this was a standard street fight match. The commentators kept talking about the fact that they didn't need to be in the ring, but they need to finish the match in the ring, which I thought was really off-putting and weird, but they do eventually fight out of the ring and to the back, where I always find that if you're watching in the arena especially for a pay-per-view. It really sucks because you've paid all this money to get tickets to see an arena show, and you have to watch most of the matches, or most of the match on a big screen, and it feels a little shitty to make the fans do that. And it must have been especially shitty back in the Attitude Era, because a lot of matches, especially all the hardcore matches, would end up in the back or start in the back and rarely even make it to the ring. So that was an interesting match because they fight to the back. There was a really funny spot at one point where Dean Ambrose found a giant piece of carpet and just whipped it at Luke Harper's head. And that was all that I really noted. Just a standard fight to the back, when all of a sudden they fought their way to an SUV, and Luke Harper got in like he was going to try to get out of there and just leave. And Dean Ambrose jumped into the truck, and the SUV drove off. And you'd think, oh, that's just the end of the match. That's it for the night. Well, we'll get back to that in a few moments. But for all intents and purposes, they just drove away.
Match number 2, Ziggler versus Sheamus. I was a little let down by this because if I had to pick a match I was interested in, I wasn't really interested in any of the matches from this pay-per-view. But I was like, yeah, Ziggler's like a great wrestler, and Sheamus is a giant angry man. This will be great. And it was just kind of average, and no one's ass got kissed. Like, what was the point of this?
Yeah, I was a little disappointed. I was like, oh, fine. At least there's going to be, like, let's face it, we're watching naked men, like, touch each other for, like, a while. And it's like,
Kiss my dick.
no,
match.
honestly, fucking rim job. Like, let's just get down to it.
Yeah,
you know?
You're gonna stick your tongue in me arse.
Yeah, see, that to me made
We call that a Glasgow Sunday.
like, given his reaction and like kissing, because obviously he lost, and then he had to kiss what's his name?
yeah, Sheamus lost, so
Yeah.
he's supposed to kiss Dolph Ziggler's ass, but
Right.
instead he just fondled his penis and then ran away.
Yeah, well, no, he totally grossed out about kissing his ass, but instead touches his taint instead, tickles his balls, and then like, what the fuck?
He
huh?
did it violently though.
Violently,
Like that's
true.
the thing. If I were to come up to you and be like, "Oh, let me just slide in here and get a piece of your dick," you'd probably be okay with it. But if I was smashing your nuts into oblivion,
Good point.
you'd be less okay with
It's even a
it.
discussion. How is punching someone in the balls that is sexual in any way?
Like
Well,
you
because
are
it's from
doing
behind.
violent damage because it's from behind. What?
No, because you're like he was doing the whole scoop up there.
Yeah, but he's still smashing his pulpy
I
forearm
don't
into
know.
your fucking.
I don't know. I swear.
And it was a desperation tactic to avoid having to kiss a man's ass.
Exactly.
Keep that in mind.
True, but we didn't slow this down. But if we slowed it down, I'll bet you we would have saw a little tickle.
You might be right about that.
Almost certainly. If not, I've definitely imprinted that into my mind now, so that happened for sure. So yeah, Sheamus, even though Sheamus was the one whose idea was kiss everyone, kiss asses, and then he lost and he refused to kiss anyone's ass. So
But that's good because that whole fucking. If anyone remembers the era of the ass kissing, it was like every fucking Monday night on Raw. It was like, oh, someone has to kiss Vince's ass.
and they did it. They did it.
Yeah, like seriously, and I was like, oh my god, you're killing wrestling.
So honestly, wrestling fans, this is a sentence you said. It's Monday night.
Oh yeah,
on Raw.
yeah. Who's gonna
Have to kiss ass?
Exactly.
And you kept watching.
So the fact that he was
You
just
kept
like,
watching the show.
yeah, I lost, fine, whatever. But I refuse to do this bullshit thing. Even if I suggested it, fuck that. I'm not down with it. I made a mistake, and I'm sorry. No man is kissing another man's ass tonight.
on
Period.
Raw.
No matter how much money this costs.
Exactly. I'll smash him in the cock with my forearm, and that's it.
That's true too. They always say like wrestling's no good when the two guys are friends. It's only good when they're fighting.
Yeah.
And who's a better friend than the man that rim jobs your asshole?
That's true.
That's the best friend you'll ever have.
That's why me and Joel are so close.
Exactly.
That's right.
That's how you're gonna get on Tough Enough. It's like the rim job twin buddies. You know what was that?
Rib twins. That's what we're going with.
The brothers rim.
Yeah.
All right.
I knew it was there.
It ain't gonna get better than that. Let's cut to Jason and his thoughts on that match. Ding, ding, ding.
The next match was equally confusing in its execution as the last one was in its quote-unquote ending. It was Dolph Ziggler versus Sheamus in a Kiss Me Arse match. Now, we were sitting there, and it was one of those times when you're watching wrestling, and there's other non-wrestling fans coming and going in the room, sort of making fun of us anyway for watching wrestling. But then we're sitting there watching a match called a Kiss Me Arse match, where, of course, you have to, the loser has to kiss the winner's ass. And that's the most fucking retarded, excuse my language, thing that they've done on wrestling, WWE television in quite some time. And, of course, that just match sort of went back and forth. Sheamus these days he's got his ridiculous Celtic gimmick. He's a warrior. He calls everybody super boyish, and he's the big man, and he wants everybody to kiss his ass now. But literally. So Ziggler actually ends up winning, and Sheamus wastes a lot of time like, oh, I'm going to kiss his ass. I'm not. Like, even saying this out loud is hurting my own feelings. And eventually gets down like he's going to do it. He low blows Dolph Ziggler, and Ziggler ends up having his face rubbed in Sheamus's ass. And that was stupid. It was very dumb. And trying to explain, not only just watching wrestling on a Sunday night to a bunch of non-wrestling fans, trying to explain what's going on is just the most embarrassing thing ever. But luckily, the match of the night, in my opinion, is up next. The following contest scheduled for one fall is for the Tag Team Championships. And it is The New Day. Representing The New Day is Big E and Kofi Kingston. And they're going to be taking on the champions, Tyson Kidd and Cesaro. Now, this match is the match of the night for me. Because you'd think this was the match that was pushed off of the pre-show and pushed to the middle of the card. And the best part about that is they had more time to fill, and it was nonstop. Like, it was nonstop. There was constant spots. They were all great high spots, and there was no boring like rest holds or anything. It was just a great showing for everybody involved. And this just completely blew my mind when this happened. The New Day have been showing heel signs for a while, but this match, really, they were just using heel outside of the ring tactics, but they still have the good face on. They still act like they're super happy and super psyched. And instead of saying New Day sucks, you should say New Day rocks, which of course draws heat, even more heat. And they actually end up going over Tyson Kidd and Cesaro, which is insane because I was not expecting this at all. And I think New Day with the championships can turn them just full heel. And Tyson Kidd and Cesaro will get to see great rematches with them at the upcoming Payback.
Wow, Jason, that was really racist.
So next up, actually this match, even though I was upset about the outcome, was a great match. Tyson Kidd and Cesaro versus the New Day. For some reason, the New Day won. I don't know why. I guess. I don't know. I feel like they should just leave the tag belts on two people that are good wrestlers and let them accrue some value. They didn't, though. So,
yeah, but I guarantee that the New Day's not going to hold it for long, right?
Yeah, but when the belt moves around too much, like, they've kind of been doing a thing lately where John Cena has the U.S. belt, Daniel Bryan, who's injured right now, but he has the Intercontinental belt. Like, they're giving the lower belts to better guys to, like, make them mean something again.
What was that lady's name?
But not with the tag belt. That was Natalia from your home province of Alberta.
I enjoyed her visual presence.
So she only got the boob job this year because she's also on Total Divas. That's their reality show, which ironically is even more fake than wrestling. It is so fake. But that was a minor plot point where they're like, "Oh, nice tits, Natalia."
It's not. It's funny. It's like the fake tit thing in wrestling. Like, I am not a fan of fake tits in real life, but for wrestling, it's sort of. it sort of makes sense because it makes all the ladies there as cartoonish as the men there.
Yeah, like superhero-y.
Yeah, so I mean,
That's what fellow Canadian Trish Stratus always said. She wanted to look like a comic book character.
yeah. Well, there we go.
Yeah.
There we go.
I've never touched a fake boob.
I have.
How'd you like it? Not?
Yeah, no, it's fine.
How
It's
did you touch it?
I had a friend who had them, and she was like, "Hey, you want to touch them?" And I'm like, "Okay."
Yeah, I
And-
touched them during a lapping dance.
Yeah, because like that's hard to. In the States, it's uncommon that you can touch stripper type folk. In Canada, it's not a big deal. And I've touched some boobs in strip clubs, but yeah, just never fake boobs. Never did it.
I did, and it's not. I mean, I can't speak for all of them. It was only one time, but it was very hard.
Yeah.
It was like unnaturally like firm.
I saw the other day, the superhero Power Girl. Have you ever seen her? She wears a white uniform with it's like a circle on her upper chest that shows cleavage. It's like she has a logo that's missing. So it was this porn video this chick made where she was wearing a Power Girl like cosplay outfit and her boobs kept spilling out. So she was trying to push them back in. This is how specific porn gets now in the 21st century. But she had fake boobs, and just seeing her poke them, I was like, ugh, don't touch them. Like I can
Yeah.
see that they're like milk bags. Like it's so fucked up.
Yeah, like definitely like real like natural boobs of any size are preferable.
Right.
But from a non-sexual point of view, from a visual point of view, the wrestling ladies, I understand why they have fake boobs. It makes them cartoony.
And that chick too, I mean, you didn't get to see it tonight, but being a Canadian and a Stu Hart student and the son of Jim Neidhart, like she's great. She can really
Yeah.
wrestle, but you didn't get to see that today.
And
so.
can I say too that do you think maybe the titles changed hands today because there was no other title changes? Could they like what would a pay-per-view be like if nothing happened, if it was net zero?
That's
Yeah.
a good point.
Mike.
And I do hope they're pushing New Day towards something because it's clearly not working.
It's
so.
got to be. I mean, I really want a heel turn soon. I want it bad.
All right, and now we'll see what Jason had to say. We'll see what Joel had to say. Cut to Joel.
Yeah, sorry. Can we just talk about New Day real quick and how fucking corny and terrible they are?
This man, maybe I don't know. I guess they had these promos before they showed up, like to hype everyone up for the new team. That were like James Brown, and they were so good. Oh, they were great.
Okay.
I got to show you these things. You would I was like, this team's gonna be the best.
Okay.
And then they showed up, and they were the worst. So these things happen.
Because I'm sure these guys are all like I'm sure like maybe individually.
No, they were all
could be a thing,
very
but
good individually. Yeah.
I hate the angle. I hate the whole thing. I hate that they're all of the same race, which is it's super annoying to me.
Well, the other thing I heard, the rumor with them, is that that they were planned to be more militant and more of like a heel team.
Oh, I would have been okay with that if they were
But an article came out in the Atlantic about WWE and was like, how come they've never had a black champ ever? The closest they had is The Rock, and niggas half Samoan, And that article came out right before the New Day debuted, so the feeling is, no one knows for sure, but that they changed them at the last second to be, let's just be positive. Like they literally used to just dance. And they're just like, we're just here to dance.
No, but that's the whole thing. I mean, like
blacks love to dance. Let them do what they're gonna do.
You can't stop them.
I mean, historically,
No, we've been accused of racism. Let's turn them into a minstrel show.
that's exactly what I felt. Like I even felt that this was still a minstrel show, and like. I hate to say it, but like when it was WWF was probably like less racist than now.
Well, they never have had a good track record with black guys, especially, like really not good at all. And so that was the thing with the New Day, because all these guys were good individually, but they never got a spotlight. So that was the hope. Is like, oh well, now it's a stable. It's like a team. Maybe they'll get more time and more attention.
All right.
But instead it just sucked. But to the racist crowd's credit, they gave them a solid 3 months of sucking before they started with the New Day sucks chant. And then they're like, look, you suck. I don't care if you're black guys and we look racist. You suck. We have to tell you that you suck.
But I mean, Booker T was like the best black guy
And he's like literally the only WCW guy that made it, and like he's still there. He's a Hall of Famer,
But he's 5-time champion, right?
Yeah.
5-time.
5 times.
Because who did we have in the old days? That we had Iron Sheik and Coco Beware, right? And who else? Is that it?
Papa Shango.
Junkyard Dog.
Yeah.
Papa Shango became the
like-
Godfather.
Yeah, so there was like in the old days it was actually a much less racist climate, even though Iron Sheik was like pretty much a racist stereotype.
Yeah, but I mean, how racist is the Iron Sheik versus the Russian guy, right? Like, it's
Yeah,
always
it's the same. It's the same.
it's
You're
the
right.
exact same thing.
It is weird though because like the demographic of fans of WWE is extremely mixed. It's not. It's if it's 50% white people, I'd be surprised. Like it really is.
No,
all
it's-
over the
it's all
place.
over the map,
but the
yeah.
company doesn't give a fuck. Like they never push black guys. They used to have a gang of people called the Mexicools that literally 3 Mexican guys came.
Steal your hubcaps.
It's worse than that. They came down to the ring on ride-on lawnmowers.
Fuck. Get the fuck.
I'm
out.
not even kidding.
That is amazing.
That was in the mid 2000s. They did that. That happened. I don't know how that's okay. The Mexicools, though, we're not making fun of them. They're cool.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is that New Day, like one of those dudes. Who was the one we liked?
Well, Kofi and Big E, I like all of them, I guess, but Kofi's the best one, I guess.
Okay, so like I think Kofi probably needs to break out of that,
Right.
and then like all 3 of them could separate and become their own thing.
See,
But
Kofi,
I
though,
feel like together it's just too corny.
and it's weird because Kofi has always been awesome. He has great matches. Everyone loves him. But he's been there since 2008. Like, he's been there a long time. And he's just stuck in the middle forever. He just can't break out. So it was like trying a new thing. Man, his old song, though, ruled. I'm going to play it at the end of this podcast.
What was that?
SOS.
What was K Quick or whatever?
Oh, yeah. Kid Quick's still there.
When he showed up, he was fucking balling, man. Like, he was.
He was in, there was a big ladder match at WrestleMania that he was in. So he still does some stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, time stops for no man. He's in his early 40s. You know, it's moving on. But he's still pretty great.
Even
And there's R-Truth, too.
That's him. That's Kid Quick.
Same guy?
Yeah. I guess, I forgot. His name's not Kid Quick anymore. Yeah, that's the guy.
legit.
All right, there we go. Man, we got a lot of discussion out of that one. That's good. Now we'll see what Jason thought about that. Ba, ba, da, ba. Ba, ba, da, ba.
So the next match after that was John Cena versus Rusev in a Russian chain match for the United States Championship. We've never seen a Russian chain match on WWE television, according to Michael Cole, but we've also haven't seen even a strap match in a few years. And the difference is, too, compared to this and the last strap matches I've seen, are that the strap matches don't typically have lights in the corners to indicate who's touched the corners. And of course you have to touch in succession. So there were times when Rusev would be on Cena's back and push into the corner, and he'd get his side. He had the red and John Cena green, of course, because good and bad. And Rusev would get the lit up corner for Cena trying to get the lit up corner, I guess is the best way to put it. Anyway, they have a pretty intense match because a chain is really, like, the spots when you use a chain are really intense. And we had a lot of near falls. The spot that I was just talking about was actually an accolade that Cena picked him up and slammed him into 2 corners. And then Rusev got out of it and slammed Cena and looked and was like, oh no, I have 2 red lights up. I can finish the 4-way. And then, Cena makes a comeback. And then it was the same situation, except for Cena managed to get 1, then another one, then a third one. Rusev pulled on the chain, and then Cena won a tug of war and got him into the Attitude Adjustment. And it was the old classic. Cena fucking wins and retains United States Championship. Nothing really big about that match. It was just sort of a standard standard match. We're going to see John Cena and Rusev fight probably 100 more times. So I was expecting it to either schmoz out or some sort of double total knockout or some sort of double, I guess he can't really get disqualified, but some sort of double loser situation. So the next match is Nikki Bella defending the WWE Divas Championship against Naomi. Naomi has turned heel recently, and it's the debut of her new theme music. And she had these shoes. I'm really sorry because the guys we're recording these at different times, and the guys probably already mentioned all this stuff. But she had light up shoes. Somebody on Reddit actually put it hilariously when they said that Naomi had a functional HP meter, or it looked like she was taking damage. Her lights were just sort of changing all different colors. It seemed like they weren't really changing in any sort of way, like when she stepped or when she got bumped. It almost seemed like somebody in the back was controlling it with a remote control, which we thought was really funny in the room that we were watching it in. So that match really just didn't really, just sort of, it was a standard Divas match, and Nikki Bella retained. Not even a lot of interference from Brie Bella. She just stood outside the ring and yelled, come on, Nikki. Heard that about 100 times in that match.
So next up, Ambrose and Harper come blazing back into the arena in the car. So they've been driving around while Ziggler, Sheamus, Kid Cesaro, and New Day all fought. I guess Ambrose and Harper were just driving around Chicago, unless they got out of the car and back in, but I assume they were driving the whole time.
They stopped for a quick Chicago deep dish.
Yeah.
And then
Little cheesecake.
Have you been to Chicago?
No.
Anyone?
Chi-Town?
Have you had a Chicago,
No. I went to Philly. Philly's the same, right?
I had a Chicago deep dish if it was exactly the same in Calgary.
Yeah, the Calgary deep dish.
Yeah.
I have no idea what it's like in Calgary, but when I was in Chicago, I made a point to have a deep dish pizza.
I do know what it's like in Calgary because Joel had pizza flown to him from Calgary and he gave me a piece. It was good.
I had some too. It was great. Yeah.
was it worth flying though?
It was worth someone else flying it to me, sure.
But it was good, right?
Yeah, it's delicious.
See? Anyway, so I've had that version of deep dish, but have you...
To answer your question, unequivocally, yes, I've had Chicago deep dish.
That pizza you brought back here was not deep dish.
No, that was
No, okay, yeah.
That was just
pizza.
regular, yeah.
Because, just deep dish pizza is so good, but just seems so terrible.
Man, have you had the pizza at Pizziola that's like
the Godfather, I think it's
It's
called.
really thick.
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like
yeah.
eating cake with pizza
Yeah.
on top. It's fucked up. It's kind of good though.
No, it's actually like it's probably as good as it's gonna get here.
But your face gets real messy because it's so fucking thick. It can't fit in your
One of
mouth.
the best things about having an ESL girlfriend is that she doesn't understand that Chicago is not Chicago.
Is she really like her second language is English?
Yeah.
Well, all things considered, I mean,
Her first
is perfect.
Yeah, her first language is Vietnamese. But the one...
so when you order pho, does she make fun of you for saying it wrong?
No, because she's like, okay, everyone accepts that it's not pho. Because if anyone says pho, they're going to be like, oh, cool, faggot.
It's like the English guy that tries to say all the Mexican pronunciations and stuff.
Or it's like, it's not espresso, it's espresso. It's like, just accept it, okay?
I'm totally on board with that. Like, or people like, it's just a gyro. Can we all like? It's like, I'm not gonna try to pretend I can pronounce Greek words.
Exactly. But the one place she lets it go is Michigan, because she's like, no, it's Michigan. It's like, no, Michigan, or Chicago. It's like, no, you're an idiot. It's like, I love you, but you're an idiot because it's not Chicago. It's Chicago.
Well, that's funny too, though, because there is stuff like espresso and espresso. The only reason I know that is because I was a barista for a couple of years, because you pick up on what other people say. Like eventually,
I can't say espresso now.
yeah, like once you know, yeah.
Or library. Like no one can say library. But
Spaghetti. It's spaghetti.
Killer either.
yeah, nuclear. Or the thing that kills me is when it's the good versus well. Like I can't.
Yeah, I can't deal with that.
But
shit.
I also can't. I can't handle it. But I also can't stand to correct people on it.
I hate when people say wrestling. It's wrestling.
Yeah, it's wrestle.
God damn it.
Or Tirana. Like, it's not Toronto, it's Toronto.
So God damn it, Dean Ambrose was wrestling fucking Luke Harper. Wrestling the shit out of him. And honestly, I don't remember how that match ended. I guess they brawled out of the car, back into the ring.
Yeah, Dean won.
Yeah, and Dean won.
They threw a bunch of chairs in the ring. And
Yeah.
so
Beard pulling. There's some beard pulling.
Oh, he did dirty deeds done dirt cheap.
on the chairs.
Yeah, there was a lot of chairs. Like there were like,
The
honestly,
most succinct finisher ever.
what the fuck are all those chairs for? Because there were like he pulled out 49 fucking chairs.
Yeah, well, that's what cracks me up more is the chairs, like, because the front rows, they are chairs, so it's like maybe they need more chairs. It is the tables I don't understand. I always think, like, I love that you went there, but as soon as this will jumping ahead to Reigns' match, but I was like, what is this for? Setting up tea and cookies? And Joel was like, yeah, it's like the church bake sale. And I was like, I was thinking church. It's church is the only reason you need press tables.
No, and honestly, it's like it's a giant ass arena. Surely they have more storage than under the ring.
And there's not a single other press table anywhere. The announce table is not a press table. Like, they put those tables under there just to hurt people.
You got so many, like, just wooden swords under them.
There's kendo sticks.
They're
There's
totally Bokens. Like, it's like, all right, let's set up the ring. What do we need? Well, we need supports, and we need 5 or 6 Boken. It's like, why do we need those? Well, you know.
It's like the people that set up the arena. There's that one douche that practices his kung fu karate moves, and he's got all his sticks.
He invites his girlfriend down before the show. He's like, listen, I just want to show you these things real quick.
Let me show you like all these rad chairs. Number one.
it's the number one. I feel like that's the number one thing that people that don't watch wrestling point out and think that they're pointing out something like original. Yeah, there's shit under the ring. There always has been. There's sledgehammers under there. It's just as a wrestling fan, I don't even think about it anymore. I'm like, oh, of course, they're getting the sledgehammers. They're under the ring. That's where they keep the sledgehammers.
Where they put all their garbage. There's a thing in Ring of Honor where they throw colored streamers, like they just do it all the time, and then they're just gone, and you don't really think about it. But there was like a big, serious title match, like Samoa Joe's, like all like awesome real fighter, and he opens up the under the ring, and just streamers fall out, and it's like, oh well, that's where they sweep all the streamers. Really made it less cool because he had like a streamer stuck to him, and it hurt the reality of the bit a little.
Yeah, no, I like Mike. I'm like, I'm totally fine with that. It's like, why the fuck would they? But it was just really funny because they pulled out so many chairs. It was so many chairs.
Yeah, there was a lot of chairs going on.
That's kind of like a reference to like, wasn't there like an old ECW famous match where they just threw in? Jason would know, and maybe he's talking about it now. But they just threw in chairs and chairs and chairs.
It was, it's weird. Like before wrestling, there's like the different levels where even if you go back to old WWF, there's always a laser pointer on Vince's face. And then eventually they were like, fuck off with those. And then if you go back beyond that, there was, like ECW where they just said like they asked for a chair. Someone asked for a chair. Everyone in the audience threw their chair in. It was pretty awesome.
What was the hobo man's name? Because he got buried in chairs.
Luke Harper got covered in chairs.
Yeah.
But there was also, if you go back to old WCW, when like 96, when Hulk Hogan turned heel, the NWO started, and the crowd was just pelting him with garbage and half-full drinks and stuff. And it was an awesome moment, but obviously, like, they realized, like, that's dangerous. Like, we need to make people not do that anymore.
You guys gotta wrestle after this. You can't be covered in greasy, sugary syrup.
But then if you go back even further than that, in Japan or Mexico, because they still to this day half think it's real, and with all the luchadors and stuff.
Sure.
So
Throwing chalupas into the ring.
well, no, it's like if you're the bad guy, you need to sneak out of the arena because people will beat the shit out of you. Like, it's dangerous. It's Chinatown. You know what I mean?
They call that a Mexican. How do you do?
Yeah, they call that a Mexican standard wrestling event. So Ambrose beat Harper, and there you go. That was a match that happened.
Yep, it happened.
Next match was Nikki versus, it is Naomi, right? That's her name?
Yeah, I think so.
Because I'm not even sure of her name, and I wrote it down, Niomi, and I'm looking at it, I'm like, that can't be how you spell Naomi. But how else would you spell it?
No, it's
In a
Naomi.
wrestling
Yeah.
context, for sure.
I'm so uninvested in her that I don't even know how to spell her name.
It was nice to see ladies.
But she had a big old ass. But this is telling us a little bit
both
about
of those girls
a
had
little
a
bit
big old
about
ass.
Joel's history. He's like, this is literally the biggest ass a person could have almost. A chick. It's just a huge ass. And Joel's like, I've seen bigger.
I've seen bigger asses. Also, I didn't really see a difference between those two asses.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were not so amazing.
Yeah, to be fair, those are the two biggest asses. But I don't know, man. I just feel like that's the wrong outfit. That chick has such a big ass. It's crazy. And
Yeah.
I don't know. Just it wasn't as evident to me.
I don't know. I wasn't impressed. They were.
But it's like, you know how big black girls' asses are normally? Double it, and that's her ass. It's silly how big it is.
And that was racist. Back to Jason.
Man, black girls have big asses. Don't tell me that's not true.
What I want to know is where's Molly Holly?
Yeah,
Because man, I had such a boner for that girl.
yeah, she was great. She was like super religious also in real life, and yeah, she eventually just moved on from wrestling. Not for religious reasons though, just because the shelf life of a woman wrestler is much shorter.
But we were talking about their moves, and the girl Naomi. Yeah, she had the move called the rear view.
Right.
Obviously, talking about her ass. The other girl, what was her name? Nikki.
Nikki Bella.
Yeah, who also had like big fake
Fasce
titties.
Bella.
Her finishing move was called the rack.
The rack attack.
The rack attack.
See, I'm opposed to the rear view because it's dumb. It's got a dumb name, and someone needs to run into your ass for it to happen.
They're both ridiculous.
No, but rack attack is right on the line. It's clearly about tits, but it is called a rack when you put someone on your back and like that, like the fireman's carry, and you just like keep bouncing. That's a move. And so she's doing that, right?
Right.
And she has tits. Like that one I'm okay with. That's a double entendre. Where the rear view is a single entendre about look at my ass. Look right at it. Rear view.
As of
Get in there though.
as a feminist, I have to say that why can't these women be taken seriously as wrestlers?
Well, see, that's where you need to watch
About racks
NXT.
and- no.
On NXT, the women wrestlers are kind of the best part of the show. They're amazing. And eventually they'll make their way to the main roster and everything will be fine.
No, it's just funny that their moves are all like sexualized. Where like
To say about this? Okay.
I do, but I like to hear you say it.
Yeah.
Also, they're fucking hot. By the way, they were both hot. Anyway, carry on.
Naomi's big finisher. The what's it called? The ass hitter.
Yeah, the ass attack.
The ass attack. What's it called?
The rear view.
Rear view. The rear view is about smashing someone's face into her asshole. Okay? Go back to the 90s. Rikishi's finisher, the stink face.
Yeah.
Smashing someone's face into his asshole.
But ideally you wouldn't jerk off to Rikishi.
Yeah, but Naomi is married to one of the Usos whose father is Rikishi. So do you think that...
Oh, maybe it's all, it's like a
Upstairs.
reference.
Nailed it.
They do that a lot in wrestling, so if that's the case, then I'm into it.
Or that the Usos are just... So he just want... it's like an Oedipal thing.
What about rack attack? How does that work out?
Well, that's because she's John Cena's girlfriend, and John Cena's finisher, the AA, involves a fireman's carry into a slam. So that's why it's a
a
reference. Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah.
Fascinating.
There's a lot of weird shit going on in wrestling like that. That's like weirdly cool and like neat if you give a fuck. But Jason, how do you feel about that?
So the second to last match was the last man standing match with Roman Reigns facing off against the Big Show. And everybody in the room groaned, especially after thinking John Cena Rusev was going to be awesome. And it was just sort of a standard match. We groaned, went for smoke breaks. And when I came back, I sat down and I remember being like, wow, like this match is like pretty high pace for these two giant, like behemoth men who nobody likes. It was really weird to be second last to the main event. And honestly, like the tag team match was easily the match of the night, but the Roman Reigns Big Show match, man, like it was up there, like easily close second for what it was, because it was actually one of the more hardcore matches of the night. Oh, shit. I forgot to say that I think it was right after the Sheamus and Dolph Ziggler match. Right after that, the SUV pulled back in with Luke Harper and Dean Ambrose, and they just started battling out of the SUV. And what ends up happening there is they fight back to the ring, and then they each on either side of the ring are just throwing chairs into the ring. And it was pretty much quick from there. They tried to do a bunch of high spot moves onto the chairs, but Dean Ambrose actually got the win. So yeah, Dean Ambrose defeated Luke Harper, but that match was actually two kind of separate matches. And the runtime, according to Wikipedia, was 56 minutes and 10 seconds, which is the something like the longest match on pay-per-view in 5 years, and the second longest match besides all the Iron Man matches that have ever happened, which is kind of funny. And what I wonder is, like, what were they doing? What were they doing? Were they just driving around punching each other, sitting next to each other and punching? Or did Dean Ambrose get knocked out for a while? I don't understand the kayfabe explanation of them leaving in a truck and coming back in a truck. If anything, they should have left in the truck and then should have cut to them fighting outside the arena and the truck like crashed. Or like them just fight, the truck's has nothing to do with it and they just fight back into the arena. I don't know. It didn't make any sense that they just pulled back in. Because honestly, they just went and like drove around for a while and then came back, or just drove and parked and waited and came back, whatever. Sorry to break kayfabe so hard. So anyway, back to Roman Reigns and Big Show. This match was pretty decent. It's great, classic, like two strong men in a hardcore match. A lot of tables used, a lot of great table spots. Like a lot of intense table spots. There was one spot where Roman Reigns was tossed out of the ring onto two tables that were set up for a while. Big Show went through a table leaning up at the turnbuckle with a spear. It was basically a tables match, especially since the finish was Big Show set up two stairs next to the announce table and cleared off the announce table. And then he was going to choke slam. His plan was to choke slam Roman Reigns from the announce table to the Spanish announce table. That didn't go down. But they ended up fighting back up onto the announce table, and Roman Reigns speared Big Show off the table onto the Spanish announce table, demolishing it. It was one of the best table breaks I've seen. And then the finish of the match was the only way they seem to finish last man standing matches now is you have to like bury your opponent in something. So Roman Reigns just like did the craziest like lift the announce table from the end and just flip it onto Big Show and then stand on top of it. And that's how Roman Reigns beat the Big Show in a last man standing match. But like, you have to watch this match to like really appreciate how much these guys like did for it. It was really insane. It was really cool. I liked it a lot. I never liked the Big Show before, and I kind of like where they're going with Roman Reigns as far as keeping him silent, just making him sort of a badass. You know, he main evented WrestleMania. Like now he's main evented WrestleMania, so it won't be weird when he does it again. He's definitely in the main event picture, and it was one of Big Show's best matches that I've ever seen in years, anyway. Like in a long time. So after this, Bo Dallas comes out to call everybody stinky. And that's pretty much what he did. And then Ryback came out and just ate his face and destroyed his face off. And that's sort of all that was. It was a really weird thing, but it sort of set up the next night on Raw. The same thing sort of happened. And then Bray Wyatt attacked Ryback. So that's sort of where that storyline's going. It was weird that they did it by having Bo Dallas, because of course Bo Dallas and Bray Wyatt are brothers. It's kind of weird that they had that start that feud. Maybe something will come of Bo Dallas and Bray Wyatt down the road. Maybe Bray Wyatt will brainwash Bo Dallas and they'll be like a brother tag team. I don't know. It's pretty dumb.
Wow, really racist.
Every time. Unbelievable. Next match, Reigns versus Big Show. Reigns won, and Nikki won the last match. to retain the female title. I think the best thing about Reigns versus Big Show is the expectations, because of the Big Show, were so low that I actually liked that match. I thought it was pretty good because I thought it was going to be the biggest piece of dog shit since literally eating a piece of dog shit.
Yeah.
That's not a good time. You think if it's dried out from the sun, it'll be like, oh, that'll be easier. It's still very
you'd think
bad.
It'd be like that, like astronauts' ice cream.
Yeah, or it melts in your mouth, not in your hands. It melts everywhere. It's horrible. Anyone else have any thoughts about that match?
That's
what
super apt.
what I liked about that match was the multiple setups for how things were going to go down. It was the slowest setup. There's like one point where Big Show is setting up stairs, and it's like a full hour later.
Stairs for? They
Yeah.
never paid off.
Yeah, we're like, oh, he's making an outsider art.
They never did pay off, did they? I can't think of.
They did.
They did?
Yeah, because when he ends up body slamming Reigns into the table, or when he plans to, he tries to do it off those stairs, and then it goes wrong, right? Or does it go right?
No, I don't know because they were both on the table.
Yeah, like there's been a long history of people mounting the table and doing moves. I think it's just the Big Show now
All I
at
know is
85 years old. He just needs stairs to get up there.
They walked up those stairs to get there, though, is what I'm saying.
Right, but they could just climb up. They don't have to be so dainty.
All I'm saying is, like,
They set up like the old person, like the thing that goes up the stairs.
but he set it up, and then it's like fucking like 3 years later, and then they're over there finally. Like, it's a big surprise. Like, oh my God, they're going to fuck up the announcer table.
That's the other
he
thing.
He just set up stairs there.
That's the other thing I liked about that match is the rules weren't necessarily so extreme. It was a last man standing match, but the ending was pretty extreme. They ruined the Spanish announce table and then tipped the English announce table, which is double the power of the Spanish announce table, on top of Big Show, so he couldn't stand up. That was all right.
But it was like the plan was to fuck up the first table, and then then they didn't. Then they fucked up the second table. Woo, surprise. And then they fucked up the first table on top of Big Show, who fucked up the second table. What?
Misdirection at its finest.
And like an hour previous, we saw him setting up fucking stairs there. So it's like, something's going to happen at those tables
And
later.
it wasn't even a stairs match. So you knew something had happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, so match of the night, Joel. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
All right, let's wrap this shit show up. Randy Orton, which is so weird, right? Because when I stopped watching wrestling, I guess this is what is good about stopping for 10 years, is...
If you need to take a break from something, you should do it for a decade.
Yeah, because when you come back, it is super fresh. All these new people. And Randy Orton, who back then was the new guy, who was the youngest ever champ, and I'm like, I really don't know if I buy into this. Now that he's a 10-year veteran, I'm like, yeah, Randy Orton, he's awesome. He's the best. So Randy Orton versus Seth Rollins, who is the champ right now, in a cage match with the extremely bizarre addition of Kane gets to just stare at the door. Which sometimes the door is involved, sometimes there is not a door. I don't know. Sometimes they just put a door in there so Kane will have something to do that night. Kane and Big Show as the super veterans, like they just need to find things for them to do.
Yeah.
Like they're just always doing dumb shit.
But I mean, I think overall, I think this is my favorite match of the night. But at the end of the day, this wasn't a cage match with barbed wire at the top, where you had to climb up over the top, that's what you used to get in the old days. Mankind would be like, I'll fucking kill anyone. Like,
Mankind goes outside the arena, he climbs onto the top of the arena, he gets in a helicopter, and then he falls out of it.
yeah, and he kills the pilot and then eats the propeller. Like, it was way better back then.
Even your standard hardcore match. Remember when Crash Holly was champ, and he'd always just be like, literally there was a time, so the hardcore belt, it had to be defended 24/7. So anytime someone could attack you.
Taking a shit, and then...
So they would literally say, like, here's footage we caught earlier this week. And this happened one time. Crash Holly was at, like, a Dave & Buster's, and a guy attacked him out of nowhere. And they were in the ball pit and going down slides and all this shit. It was amazing.
Yeah.
And that was more extreme than anything that happened tonight.
Yeah, because even the most extreme match, which was the cage match, was not that extreme, really.
But the people, the participants in the match were able to choose whatever stipulations they wanted. So they could have said, "Hey, it's a barbed wire match," or "Hey, it's a Dave and Buster's match." But they went with the stipulations they felt helped their game the most.
I kind of found the whole goddamn thing boring as shit. I mean, I'm going to be honest.
From top to bottom.
Just the cage match.
Oh no.
Yeah, because it was like...
Well, it's weird too. Randy Orton. See, okay, here's the thing. Randy Orton recently became a good guy, very recently, but usually he's a bad guy because, you know, he has that look in his eyes. He's that silver spoon cocksucker who will fuck you over at any time. He's like if Pete Campbell was a wrestler, like he's an asshole.
Someone took the silver spoon out of his mouth and stuck a dick right in there.
Did we miss a match, by the way?
No, that was it. That was all of them.
No.
Oh, the pre-show, there was an extremely cool match with Bad News Barrett versus Neville, and Neville kicked his ass.
Wasn't there Rusev and John Cena?
Oh, we did miss that match.
Oh my God.
We'll get to
The
that.
Cena match? Yeah.
Well, I guess I didn't write it down.
Oh, the chain match. The
chain match,
Yeah, it was
yeah.
garbage.
Sorry.
But well, that's the thing though with Randy Orton. See, that's the thing in wrestling. You always have to be like meta. Like you have to. You can't just take it at face value. You have to think about the mechanics of it. So what Orton traditionally does, because he is like just naturally gifted. He's really good at wrestling. But if as a bad guy in this era, if you're good at wrestling, you're supposed to be a bad guy, but people will cheer you because they like you. You have to do things to be hated. So Orton is extremely slow and deliberate. Like he paces his matches at this weird pace to keep people hating him. But now that he's a good guy, he still does that, hence boring matches.
Well, no, I think for me, I just found it boring because it was predictable that Kane was going to get in there, screw something up. He was going to like fuck over Reigns? Rollins, thank you. Rollins in some way, but then go after Orton. It was almost like a pace it out. It was almost like a Darth Vader, Luke Skywalker thing where like suddenly Darth Vader looks at the Emperor and then throws the Emperor over. That's exactly what happened.
You know, that's what's weird too about wrestling on a larger timeline, because you can predict 95% of the matches of what will make sense. And then once in a while, at a great big, super important WrestleMania match or something, they do something different and it blows your fucking mind. And it's weird because
This was not that, is all I'm saying.
Right, but that's the weird thing is like you need this kind of bullshit. Like most of wrestling is this pay-per-view. It's just nonsense that is worth nothing. But it builds, it's the building blocks to the big thing that you'll always remember because it was so awesome. But this wasn't it.
But now that I think about it, I actually think this is that same scene in Return of the Jedi.
Right.
It was absolutely the same thing. If Darth Vader was supposed to be the keeper of the cage and Orton was the Emperor.
Did you ever see that wrestling match where Joseph Campbell was the ref?
No.
It's classic.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, so Rollins retained, but he did use the RKO against Orton, which was the banned move. So I'm sure tomorrow on Raw.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We'll see
someone-
that come back.
Yeah, someone will be like, dude, you weren't supposed to do that. And he's like, well, then it's like Tokyo Drift. Now,
right.
at the end of
Now you're talking metaphors I understand.
At the end of Tokyo Drift, the Texan who has no business in Japan.
The only way to be in control is to be out of control.
But in Tokyo Drift, there's this guy from Texas, right? He runs afoul of a Yakuza boss's son, right?
Sure.
So he's in big trouble. And he's like, all right, I don't belong in this country. You're a Yakuza man's son. I have no hope. Tell you what, let's race for it. Yeah. Whoever loses this race will leave town forever.
It's like, but I'm not from Tokyo, so that's fine with me.
Yeah, but the Japanese guy loses, and he respects the guy's wishes and leaves town forever. He's the Yakuza guy's son. It makes no sense. But that's what wrestling is like. It's like,
I really hope he goes to Texas.
Right? But yeah, you're right. They should have done that. A
They should have
spin-off.
done that, right?
Oh my God, it would be called Tokyo Drift 2. Chinkin, Texas. Oh my God, that's racist.
Yeah.
He's not it. Yeah, what do you call Japanese?
Nipper.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Nippon.
Yeah.
Anyway, wrestling's like that. It's like no matter what the issue and what the problem, you're like, well, let's wrestle for it. And then there you go.
There you go.
I think it's just probably leading to a Orton Rollins rematch because, like, yes, he did the banned move, but even if he lost from disqualification, title can't change hands from DQ.
That's true.
So, yeah, I guess it's kind of didn't matter anyway. He could have just done an RKO right away and then just because he's a little weaselly bitch. That's his character.
Man, you know what's crazy? So back in the year 2000, right before WCW went out of business, they gave David Arquette the title. Yeah, because there was this movie, Ready to Rumble, that they were trying to promote.
I heard a version of that on
Smarkamania?
No, that's how I remember it. It's another
really?
podcast.
Oh, yeah, you guys did Ready to Rumble recently.
Yeah, it was a good one.
Yeah, I saw that movie in the goddamn theater.
Yeah, me too.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
But so me and Jason went back and watched that pay-per-view from that time because you remember at the end of Ready to Rumble, there was a triple cage. It was like 3 cages on top of each other.
Like World War III?
No, because World War III is 3 rings side by side.
Right,
it's really not that big a deal. But the triple cage has only been done once at this one pay-per-view to promote Ready to Rumble. And you're thinking like triple cages, that's dumb. David Arquette is champ, that's dumb. It was fucking awesome. It was way better than this. Like they should bring back the triple cage. It was legitimately amazing. Like by the time you're up to a 3rd cage, it's unbelievable, man. Yeah, it was really good.
I mean, I made a stupid comment on Facebook about like I've been let down by rules that seemed less extreme than I would have liked. This was less extreme than I would have liked. Like there was nothing extreme about this. This felt like any other pay-per-view ever. And you know what? Maybe even a little less extreme than any other.
Or perhaps the rules were extreme. There were too many rules, is what you're saying, man.
Yeah,
that's what's funny too. Is I was just thinking like I try to give wrestlers respect and like, oh, this guy's better than this guy or whatever. But the fact is, David Arquette was a fully functional champion. Like, you really just need to set up the situation. And yeah, these situations were not.
Wasn't there a wrestler called The Situation?
No, that was Jersey Shore.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Close enough.
And of course, the main event is a cage match for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship between Seth Rollins, excuse me, my voice. Seth Rollins, the defending champion, versus Randy Orton, with Kane as the gatekeeper, who is just really responsible for opening the cage door. They wrestle a classic cage match back and forth. These guys both look great. I really like Randy Orton these days, which is really weird. Like, there's all these wrestlers I would have hated 3 years ago because they were just boring, and now they're the big guys who are just left, like, because people like CM Punk are gone and Triple H doesn't wrestle anymore. So, and Brock Lesnar's out right now. So Randy Orton is really killing it. I feel like he's been a lot better on the mic. This feud makes sense. It's not just like, oh, well, Seth Rollins is going to be paired off with Randy Orton. No, it's those two are going to feud. They're going to feud for a while. And John Cena's out of the heavyweight title picture as well, which is great. He's making the United States Championship mean something. So these guys do a great job at doing the classic cage match. And Kane actually ends up preventing Randy Orton from leaving the cage and gets kicked by Rollins for his work. And this causes Kane to just freak out, lose his mind, just choke slam everyone, and like literally everybody. And then Orton then attacks Kane with an RKO, turns around, eats an RKO from Rollins, and Rollins is able to just leave the cage pretty easily and retains. This also was the match where Randy Orton does the pedigree to Rollins, and we in the room were like, well, the pedigree is like, if Triple H does the pedigree, the match is over unless he fights like The Undertaker or Shawn Michaels or The Rock. The pedigree is usually like, that's the end of the match. But in this case, no. And it goes back to how Gorilla Monsoon used to say the difference between a finisher being a finisher and a signature move is the person who does it as a finisher. For instance, like Jake the Snake doing a DDT versus just like Greg the Hammer Valentine doing a DDT, is Jake the Snake knows how to hook it in such a way that he's able to bring it down in a particular way that causes your head and your neck to be completely destroyed, where somebody else is going to do it, not have the strength behind it. And that's sort of the joke that we made about Randy Orton doing the pedigree. He didn't cinch it in the correct way, making it not a finisher, but just a regular move. So anyway, yeah, that was pretty much the whole card. I mean, I never realized how easy it was to just run it down. But I'm going to give, out of a possible 17 bowls of soup, this is going to be a lower one. This is only going to be about 10 because it was pretty shitty. Like it was an in-between pay-per-view. It's like the post WrestleMania pay-per-view, I think, at this point. I'm pretty sure it is the post WrestleMania. Yeah, I think the last one we did was WrestleMania. So this has been episode 18 of Smarkamania. My name's Jason Phillips. You can find me on YouTube and Twitter at Spider Hero. And shout out to Wrestle Club members of Wrestle Club for watching Extreme Rules with me and having a great time. And we'll see you either next month for Super Kicked, or actually we won't, because next month for Super Kicked, I'm getting fucking married. And the next pay-per-view, of course, is Payback. You know what? Probably cut all this out because we're going to be back next week watching Halloween Havoc or something. Anyway, thanks for listening.
Now, as a bonus match. God. Now, I didn't even write down. See, this is why I got to write down matches. Imagine trying to remember this pay-per-view. See, that's the thing. I like wrestling and all, but if I didn't write this down, we would already immediately after the pay-per-view have forgotten every detail of it.
True. Oh, for sure.
Because it's so pointless.
Yeah.
So, as an example, I forgot to write down that John Cena fought Rusev in a rematch for the U.S. title in a
Russian chain match for some reason.
Russian chain match. So I think the main point about this match was it's a new innovation because they haven't done one of these matches since 1978 with fucking Karlov or some shit, is lights on the post.
On each post.
It made it very Nintendo. I was like kind of down with it because of that.
So when Cena hit a post, it was green, but when Rusev hit one, it was red, which, come on.
They get 4 in a row. But it was a garbage match because it was really just like professional tug of war.
And John Cena gets a lot of shit because he's so boring and he's been just a good guy for 10 years. But I stopped watching for 10 years, so that doesn't bother me any. I like Cena. He has great matches. But yeah, this was dumb.
I have a question because I went to make a phone call during this match because I accidentally looked at my phone and saw the results.
Yeah, but let me catch you up. Ba-ba-da-ba, ba-ba-da-ba.
So you had to, every time you hit one of the turnbuckles, you got your light lit up.
Right, but you got to hit all 4 and... Oh, wait, I think I know where you're going with this.
Yeah. Why? When do the lights go out, or how does that work?
Yeah. Well, after a certain point, like if they were still fucking around for like I think it was like 30 seconds, the lights all turned off again.
Yeah, because I assumed it was if the other guy starts his turn, it negates your lights, but that didn't happen because at the end, they each had 3 lights lit up.
Yeah, no, I was watching for that, and it was just basically as soon as they dicked around for too long, all the lights canceled out.
Well, that's where it's extreme. The rules do not apply.
Right.
You remember that KMFDM song, Rules, from Extort? Yeah. The rules do not apply.
And that's amazing thing to call an album. When you just say the name of your band and then Rules.
Well, it's because they had the previous KMFDM Sucks.
Yeah.
So they
were self-deprecating early enough, and then they owned it up and then later.
So whatever song I said I was going to play, that'll be the opening song.
Rules.
And yeah, Rules from KMFDM will be the... Actually, I'm going to play the remix with the trumpets. I really like that one.
What does KMFDM stand for?
Oh, I can answer.
No pity for...
Kill motherfucking Depeche Mode.
They did a... Yeah, that's not what it means, but they did a song like 2 albums ago that is the chorus.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just
That's,
because
well, what does it mean?
it means no pity for the majority, like Matt said, in German. But the guy Raymond Watts from the band Pig, who sometimes sings for KMFDM, he's like, I can't remember this goddamn name. Like, why don't you just do KMFDM? And so,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
And the original thing, because it was an art band originally, like Sasha Konietzko's friend had an art installation, and Sasha did the noisescape for it. That's how the band started. So he was cutting words out of a German newspaper and like arranging them like David Bowie used to make lyrics, and that's how he came up with No Pity for the Majority.
I see. Only in German.
Yeah.
The Depeche Mode one I heard like a long time ago, like kind of right after they came out. So I wonder if that was.
Yeah, no, they just did their 30th anniversary just happened. And man, okay, let's just get off topic for a sec.
Super off topic.
I love
Wrestling, KMFDM.
Because I was like
German industrial
16 or 17 when I heard them. First time.
I love the digital kind of revolution, because I've stolen everything in the world in the last 10 years. But I don't want to. I want to support people that I like. But it's like, well, the iTunes philosophy. Like, it's just easier. If it's easier to buy things on iTunes than it is to steal them, people buy it. And if it's easier to steal, people steal. So the 30th anniversary of KMFDM just happened, and they had like a live show. You can find a million live shows of KMFDM on YouTube. But this thing was $8. So I bought it because I love KMFDM, and I just want to like, yeah, here's my $8 because it was easy and it's right there. And I watched it once and I deleted it and I'll never watch it again. But I love that. So in the bonus features for this thing, they asked him about that name, and he's like, no, it's definitely not why it's called that. And they're like, so do you like Depeche Mode? And he's like, I've heard, he is from Germany. He's all German as shit. I've heard one Depeche Mode song, Master and Servant. This is pretty good, I guess. That's all I'm not into that. I just don't know that music. Like, that's not what it means.
All right.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Sure.
It's slightly unrelated. You know how you know girls, like females?
The HBO show.
No, just like females in general.
I wish I did, Mike.
They often
Rub it in.
they often have long flowing hairs, which they use and which they tie up in ponytails, using like an elastic. And then when they're not, like when they don't have their hair tied in elastic, they like often keep it around their wrist.
I've heard of this phenomenon.
Can you picture why a male with very short hair would ever have?
Oh, are you talking about this thing?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Okay.
The cheapest cock ring ever.
I mean, it's a really weird thing to get into in the wrestling podcast, but I could if you want. I mean, basically, long story short, it's just, I don't know. I guess I heard about this with lucid dreaming, you know, where...
you snap it, right? You snap it to do something.
Right, that's where I originally heard about this theory, is if you want a lucid dream, right, where you're dreaming and you want to know you're in a dream, you need a way to test if it's a dream or reality. So like a thing like this, like it could be anything, but during the day you look down at it. So I have this hairband around my wrist, and you see it so you know I'm awake right now. So if you ever look down and it's not there, then you know you're in a dream. And I used to do this when I was in high school, and it works. And it hasn't worked yet as a 35-year-old, but like that's the idea.
It's like the totems in Inception.
Yeah, it's a lot like the Inception thing. So, because it's just, like you said, it's fucking weird. It's like, why is that there? So in a dream, that's not going to be there, because this hairband around my wrist is not part of my normal, it's not like I look down, oh, I'm wearing pants, I guess it's not a dream, like, because I used to be great at this when I was in high school. Like, I was really good at knowing I was in a dream. And then once you're or you're suspicious that it's a dream, sometimes you can control it, and you can like know you're in a dream, and it's the funnest thing in the world. It's like you're just flying. It's like the Matrix. You're flying around doing stuff.
It's funny. It's like I've only had one lucid dream, and that's the first thing you do is fly.
I've had enough of them, like, because the other thing when I was in high school I did was a dream journal. I don't have the patience for that anymore, but every day you wake up and you write your dreams down in a book. So you start to really be able to tell a dream from reality. But it gets real weird, because there would be times when I'm like, I know I'm in a dream right now, and I know this chick that I think I'm fucking is my pillow, but it's good enough. Like,
This is the best pillow. This pillow's so good.
yeah. So I mean, I don't know. I'll report back. So far, I can't really recommend it.
Is it new? A new thing?
You know, a month. I don't know, something like that. Also, I've been living alone all winter, man. I got a lot of free time. I got all the time in the world to start wrestling podcasts and just try weird things.
Nocturnal emissions and whatnot.
So Cena versus Rusev, though. I guess whatever, right? Nobody was that into it.
Okay, so here's the important thing: is that Rusev's lady friend,
Lana. Ooh,
Lana,
nice.
walked into some office that everybody went ooh, and I'm like, I don't know.
Oh yeah, she walked into the office of the Authority, Triple H and his gang. So what does that mean? Rusev is like tired of losing to Cena and he's going to join the Authority?
Well, because Kane has been acting up lately, and and Triple H was talking about looking out for new people to join the Authority. So maybe that's going to be Rusev.
Did that happen tonight? I wasn't even.
No, that happened on like Raw
Okay.
last week.
Here's a question: would his lady join the Authority and like leave Rusev?
No, I think they're a team. Although I like Rusev better there was a little while where he was mad at Lana because she agreed to a match with John Cena that he didn't want to do, and that's how he lost his belt. And Rusev was better without her. Like, she's hot, but without her, he can just be like crazy and like violent.
Because that's the thing, is he yelled at her in Russian, or I assume Russian.
Yeah,
he's
no, he
Bulgarian,
knows.
right? In
Right,
real life?
but he knows real Russian, yeah.
Okay, so and then she walked off and went directly into their office. So that's kind of what I'm like. I don't know. Anyway,
All right, so go on.
Oh, I was just gonna say I thought that was my interpretation of that was like him being like, just go in there and talk to them, like let them, like he was like telling, because she's his spokesperson, so I think he was ordering her to go in there and like make a deal with the corporation.
See, I bet somebody on Reddit translated that, but I don't know about you guys. Maybe I'm just old. I find Reddit very confusing.
Yeah, me too.
It's not worth it.
I've been a 4chan man since like 2005. I'll just stick with that.
I've never used Reddit, so yeah, I don't know what the fuck.
You know what the only problem is? Because 4chan is very similar. It's like the crazier, more insane version of Reddit. And I'm fine with that. But ever since like my New Year's resolution of like I should really try to like look at less porn and try to be less of a weird deviant, it's really hard to hang out on 4chan.
Yeah, just stay away from it. 4chan is a nightmare cesspool of humanity.
Yeah, because it has like a board called Alternative Sports where they talk about wrestling. But you're already there, right? So just go over to alternative dick fucking and
Slash GIF. It's great these days.
it gets super bizarre. Yeah. And you can find this podcast at keithcourage.com. Even though the only episodes we do that get a lot of downloads are old WCW. They're the hardest to watch, but the most popular.
But I mean, really, at the end of the day, like, Extreme Rules, not particularly extreme.
Yeah.
Overall, just like a real week. I haven't watched fucking a pay-per-view in literally a decade, and I was just like, man, this was weak.
Not going to get you back in.
If you were to give it out of 10, how many elastic bands around the wrist would you give it?
Like 2 around the wrist, and then like 3 or 4 around the cock.
Fair enough.
Well, that's the weird thing too. I always find with wrestling is you need the one thing that like pulls you back in or whatever.
Yeah.
And the one guy for me was Bray Wyatt, and he wasn't even on the show tonight. Fucking Stardust wasn't even on. Nobody was on. It was cool.
Out of 10, how many taint punches would you give this pay-per-view?
69. Hi.
That's too many.
No, I'm just kidding. 420.
Not just weak. Oh, just weak.
Yeah. I mean, doesn't it bring you back, though, to like 2000, 2001 when we watched all the time? And yeah, we'd go to like speed bumps, like some sports bar, and watch a pay-per-view and be like, really?
What was that? That was worse than Raw.
Do you remember, I'm sure we can find the YouTube clip. We'll look it up in a sec. But the Invasion pay-per-view, where there was, I just remember that Stacy Keibler and Tori Wilson had a segment backstage where Tori Wilson like cupped her own tits. But I remember you went to the bathroom because when you came back, I was like, oh, you missed Tori Wilson touching her tits. And you were like, are you kidding? That's the only good thing that was going to happen all night. I missed that.
Yeah, almost certainly was. Like,
Yeah, no doubt.
yeah.
No doubt.
This
Stacy
view was pretty weak. Nothing much interesting. Tag title changed hands. That's about it. There'll be some follow tomorrow about Seth Rollins using the RKO, but besides that, I think
It is fun to hang out. That's the thing I was about to say, though. I was like, oh, it's too bad you guys missed WrestleMania last month.
Yeah.
But in reality, I don't know if it was so great or it was just fun to hang out. Whatever.
Right.
Hanging out's fun. Fun is fun. All right. Signing off, KeithCourage.com. Goodbye. All right, so I'm just on my way home now from Mike's house after we watched the pay-per-view. Final thoughts. So Ambrose and Harper had a pretty cool match, but I think my favorite match of the night was, I mean, a lot of this could just be expectations, expectations. If they're low, it's easier for something to seem cool. But Roman Reigns, Big Show, I gave no fucks about that match. Big Show was just like, who gives a shit? But once it's all over and I'm thinking back, that was really cool, man. Like, I feel like I'm really starting to get into Roman Reigns. And again, maybe that's just because everyone hated him so much, Maybe because expectations were so low. But he fucking beat the shit out of that giant. He killed him. That was cool. I like that a lot. So I think that'll wrap us up, man. End of Smarkamania. More episodes at KeithCourage.com. Thanks for listening. And we'll see you next time we do a podcast. All right, adios.